Hello and welcome to the show. Apologies before we begin today's episode because it's a weekend recording and the kids are home, obviously. So you're going to hear some noise in the background. They are playing what we used to call Paco tennis back in our day, but they're now calling it book ball. Yeah, it's a long story. I'll explain later. That's for those of you who are interested. Anyway, so today on the podcast, we're not going to be talking about my family issues, but we're going to continue. We're going to pick up from where we left off. I think in the last episode, I was talking about King David again, not his real name, the fellow who is into heavy machinery, agricultural equipment, containers, tractors, truck heads, stuff like that. Big stuff, expensive stuff. So, okay, I spoke a little bit about his business and some of the problems that he might be facing, and I mentioned that we did a role play, and there were a couple of issues that came up in the role play. So that's what we're going to look at today. So, for those of you listening to the podcast for the first time, a role play is something that we do in sales where we pretend that we are in front of a customer or in front of a potential client or in front of an investor or in front of a stakeholder or in front of a whatever. We pretend that we are in that situation live, and then we start trying to have a conversation. Now, the reason why we do this in sales is because we know that it is best to practice on other people, to practice on situations that are not real, so that we can learn the principles, learn the skills, learn the tactics in a low pressure environment. Because one of the reasons why we fumble when we're in front of a client is because we're trying to do something and it's our first time. So let's say closing, for instance. You're trying to be much more assertive in closing, and you call the price and you want to tell the person, oh, the next step is you pay a 20% deposit for 15 million. If you haven't practiced that thing before, and honestly speaking, 15 million sounds heavy in your mouth. The first time you are trying to close a deal like that, you go to fumble, you go to mumble, and that does not inspire confidence. The way that you will say that 15 million in your mouth, the buyer will know that, look, this person is a small boy, that he has never seen 500k in his life before. Is this the person that wants to collect 15 million from me? So, role playing are those situations where you will be there with your oga, or be there with your spouse, or you'll be there with a friend or a colleague, and now would they play, just acting drama. Like, okay, if I was in front of a client, this 15 million, how will I try and collect this 15 million? How will I say it? What will be the words I'll use? Things like that. So that's the benefit of role playing, and it's something that we do a lot in sales and selling. So if you haven't done it before, I would recommend that you start doing it. So if you're a business owner listening to this thing, you have never role played in front of your with your sales team, you should. You should. You will discuss somebody. You guys discuss something on the Friday meeting, and you say, okay, no problem. Let us implement this technique. And then you call the salesperson, Oya Chukudi, Oya stand up. Pretend I'm a customer now. Oya, begin. How will you say this kind of thing? That is a role play. Now, the benefit is you're going to be able to learn and get familiar with different tactics and different skills in a low pressure environment. Because when you're doing role playing, if you fumble, the worst that will happen is everybody will just laugh, But then somebody will be there to correct you. Another person will give suggestion. And before you know it, by the time you don't role play, 10, 15, 20 times, you will now be comfortable. So that you won't be standing in front of a customer and then you want to, by the time you're calling 15 million, so that your mouth will not be shaking. You'll be able to stand and say confidently, okay, the next step is we're going to collect a 20% deposit, and that comes up to roughly about 20 million naira. Are you good to go with that? You'll be able to say with confidence. So the only way you can say with confidence is if you practice. And it's a very bad idea to practice. Now, some of you will be saying, this role play, like why role play? See, role play is nothing new. Lots of disciplines role play. Remember, for those of you who listen, that I am a former lawyer. Now I'm a business consultant. In law, we role play. It's just that in law, we don't call it role play. We call it moot and mock. So, moot and mock was back when we were in university or back when we were in law school, we'll pretend. One of our classmates will pretend to be a judge. Somebody will pretend to be a lawyer for the left. Another person will pretend to be a lawyer for the right. We'll all dress up, wear costume. You know, it's something we used to organize on the faculty level. And then we'll pretend. Somebody is the judge, somebody is the lawyer, somebody is here. And then we'll pretend this case, how we handle this case. That is role playing. It's just that in law, we call it moot and mock. So what I'm saying is nothing new. People have been doing these things for hundreds of years. Moot and mock is nothing new. People don't do moot and mock for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. So it only makes sense. What about medicine? They do it too. It's just that in medicine, they do it on cadavers. They'll go and take a dead body and then they'll say, oh yeah, no problem. Let us now pretend that this person has cancer and we're supposed to excise the medulla oblongata of the cerebral something, something, something. And then they go, they'll start the surgery. They'll begin to cut and do here, do here, do here. If you make mistake during the surgery, your lecturer will say that, no, hold it. You don't cut this kind of thing. If it's a real life person that is on the table and you cut this thing now, you kill this person. You see? You're practicing in a low pressure environment so that you will learn how to be a better doctor. And that's the reason why after a certain level of study and after certain hours practicing on cadavers and things like that, that's the reason why medical professionals can say confidently, okay, this person cannot operate on human beings because the person has done a role play before. It's just that for them, when they use role play, they use cadaver, they use dead body. So this thing that I'm saying, role play, you can see that it's not anything unique to sales. It is not. It is not unique to sales. People do this all the time. Or what about architecture? They do it all the time. We'll come up with a scenario. The professor in architecture will tell you, okay, well, I don't know about how they train architects now, but back when I was in school, the stuff that they used to do, your professor will tell you, I pretend that the customer has come to come and meet you today. They want to design this kind of house, but then the plot of land is in a marshy land. What's the way forward? And then you have to design something and you have to defend your idea. Is that not role play? So role playing is nothing unique to sales. It's been going on for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. I would have said thousands of years, but the thing is, I haven't done my research. But it's been going on for hundreds of years. So the first time your guy tells you to do role play, or if you bring in a consultant like me into your organization to help boost your sales, and the person says, oh yeah, more role play, don't feel one kind. The person is not trying to embarrass you, and the person is not inventing anything new. The person is just doing what people in other disciplines have been doing for hundreds of years. And the idea is you are going to learn tricks. You're going to learn tactics. You're going to learn principles. You're going to put them into practice. And you are going to do that in a low stress environment. Low stress just means this thing is not real. If you make a mistake, if you fumble, it's not a big deal. One or two people go laugh and then we'll start giving idea about how to do this thing correctly. So for King David, we did a role play. And in doing the role play, I now came up with a couple of substantial issues. Number one, King David was struggling to justify his price because in the role play that we did, he wanted to sell a, sorry, let me check my notes again. So, this is not my space now, so I don't know these things. Sinotruck, Howo. Yes, the brand is Howo, Howo. Funny enough, when I was picking my kids up from school yesterday, as we entered into the car, before we moved, we heard pom pom. There's one of these big trucks. And then I looked, lo and behold, I saw Sinotruck Howo. I said, so this is the Howo. Waiting, this is the Howo that we've been talking about. So at least now I've seen the truck live. Yeah. So, Sinotruck Howo. So now, King David was selling his own Sinotruck Howo for 75M. And then I was pretending to be the customer who wanted to buy. I did some small research online, sharp. I found somebody who was selling it for 65M. And so that's where, during the role play now, there was problem. Because King David is saying, I have Sinotruck Howo, my own is 75M, and I stand by my price. And me, I'm saying, I went online, and I found it for 65M. And of course, that the gap between 75 million and 65 million is 10 million. So that's not small money. It's not small change. It's not as if King David was saying his Sinotruck Howo is 75M, and then me, I went online and then I found it for, 73. That kind of situation, you can be pricing groundnut back and forth between 73, 75. You go up, you come down, you meet in the middle, you close the deal, you just manage. But in this case, the gap is 10. So King David's strategy was to argue quality. So King David went on the offensive. Again, King David is not his real name. So King David went on the offensive. 75M because I'm better quality, I am this, I'm superior quality, I buy direct from manufacturer, I this, I warranty, I guarantee, I blah blah blah, and delivery, and this, and he just went on the offensive. The guy continued to they vomit, trying to argue value. Now that is not bad when you're faced in this kind of situation where you call your product 75 million, the customer can they price you 65 million. It's not a bad strategy to actually start arguing quality. The problem is when you are arguing quality, you are the one who is making the assertion. And Oyibo people, they have a saying. They say that if you are telling, you are not selling. Let me repeat. There's an old Oyibo saying when it comes to sales, and that is if you are telling, you are not selling. In other words, if you are telling somebody, dictating, you know how lawyers like to say, I put it to you. If you're telling somebody, I put it to you, you're putting it to the person, you are not selling. What you're doing is you are trying to impose your will on somebody else. And nobody likes that. Nobody likes being imposed upon. That is not how you sell. By imposing yourself on somebody else. Oga buyer, you say 65 million, no problem. But for me, here, this is what I have, 75 million. This is the best. This is the cheapest. This is that. You are just imposing yourself upon somebody. That's not how you sell. If you're going to argue quality, you actually have to make the customer or the prospective client, you have to make them a part of the conversation. It has to be a two-way thing. If it's a one-way thing, you are wasting your time because you say what's on your mind. The customer knows exactly what is on their own mind. And of course, they won't say what's on their own mind. And then you will leave. Abi. All the guy has to do is just not pick your call again. That's it. And you're no longer a problem. So excuse me. So you have to involve the customer, the prospective client in the conversation. So how do we do that? For those of you who've been listening for the last maybe 2-3 weeks, you should be familiar with this because we've already tackled a couple of objections this way. So number one, first thing to do is to listen or to agree or to empathize. Anyway, yes, listen, agree, empathize. How do I put it? Listen to what they're saying because remember, nobody wants to be imposed upon. And it's a very somehow situation, especially for those of us who are young men. When somebody is telling you that, look, I found this thing 65M, and then you now start trying to impose, you'll be like, what does this young man like? Who is he? Like, what does he know? Omode, young boy, when they born yesterday, he's trying to lecture me. So you know that kind of thing. So for those of us who are young men, we have to be careful about this one. So make sure you listen, and then you agree and empathize with them. I'll explain how to do that. Then the next step is you're going to ask questions because you're trying to gather more information. After you ask questions to gather more information, it is then that you can make a counter proposal or you can make a new offer or you can start educating people or whatever. You don't start educating people or trying to impose your will or trying to make an argument or a new proposal or whatever unless you have asked questions. The reason why we ask questions is we're trying to gather more information. We're trying to figure out what are they thinking, where are they coming from. Then after that, what we're going to do is a trial close. Now that we made a counter offer or a new proposal or whatever, we'll try and close the deal again, or we'll try and gain an advancement. That is, if we're not going to close the deal today, me and the other person, we're going to agree on what the next step is, and we're going to make that agreement during this conversation. Because if you say 75 million, the customer say no, 65 million, and you try and educate, you try and do this, you try and do that, but you don't agree on the next step, verily, verily, I say unto thee, I can assure you, the next time the person will not pick your call. Because who wants to be lectured to? Again. Over what? When they have said they have found 65M. We need to agree on the next step. The reason why you should try for an advancement to agree on the next step is when you try and secure an advancement, if the guy know they agree, then you will now start getting a sense that, look, Omo, it's as if I've lost this deal. You will know. If somebody agrees to an advancement, okay, it looks as if there is room that we can make progress. By the way, if this is your first time of listening to some of these terms, not to worry. I'll try to explain them a little bit, but it will help if you just subscribe to the podcast and then you keep on listening, because these are terms I keep on saying over and over and over again. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention, if you'd love to connect with me, just like King David did, again, not his real name, you can call me, send me a text message or a WhatsApp message on 080-6466-2140 so that we can discuss problems in your business. If you're worried that I sound expensive, don't worry, I'm fairly priced, but I'm open to answering questions for free. So if you're looking for free coaching, let me know, but I will answer one question only. If we have to go beyond that, we need to book a time because we're going to have to look at several issues. So let's go back to how King David handled this thing. It's a valid approach. When you say my product is 75 million and somebody say, mba, I found it for 65 million online. So the approach that King David chose to do was to try and argue value. To argue value just means, how will I put it? To argue value just means, look, I know what I'm saying. You say you found 65, but this 75 that I have actually is better value for money for you. So you're better off taking the 75M instead of going to go and buy that cheap 65M that you've seen online. So that's how you argue value. But King David went about it the wrong way. He launched into quality. He launched into where he buys from, direct from the supplier in China and, all of that talk. He also went into warranties and guarantees. Then he also went into maintenance support and, all of those things. But remember, nobody likes to be imposed upon. Nobody likes to be lectured. So while you are lecturing these people, it is going in through one ear and it is going out another, unless we involve them in the conversation. And I said that this is how we're going to involve them in the conversation. We're going to listen, we're going to agree, we're going to empathize. Then we're going to ask questions to gather more information. Then, with the new information, we'll make a counter proposal, we'll make a new offer. And then after that, we'll do a trial close. We'll try and close the deal again on the spot. Or we'll try and gain an advancement, which is we'll both agree mutually on what the next step is. What are we going to do next? When are we going to see, blah, blah, blah. So, when I say agree, I'm not saying, oh, I agree, I'm overpriced. No. You're shooting yourself in the leg. So when somebody says something like that, you say, oh, my truck is 75 million. And the person says, I found it for 65 million online. This is how you agree. You can say something like, my brother, in this economy, even myself, I watch the way I spend. So I understand perfectly that you go and look for a cheaper option. My brother, I understand. I agree with you. You see, that's how you agree with somebody. You did not say, yes, I'm overpriced. You just said, my brother, in this economy, I understand. Myself, I would have looked for a cheaper something. So I feel you. What you're trying to do is you're trying to empathize with the person and you're trying to be agreeable and you're trying to let them appreciate that that they're a reasonable somebody. Now, the benefit of this approach is that it calms things down. It calms the mood down. All right? It's when the mood is down, it's no longer a fight, that you stand a chance that if you say something, the person will hear you. Because in the first one, when somebody says 75, how? I went online, I saw for 65. And then he now starts saying, I buy from China, I buy direct. This is warranty, this is guarantee, this is after sales, that one is still a fight mode. The person is not hearing you. All right? Now, for those of you who have been in a heated argument with your significant other, so if you're a woman, you're quarreling with your husband or your boyfriend. If you're a man, you're quarreling with your girlfriend or your wife. When the mood is high. You understand? Everybody is angry. It doesn't matter what you're saying. Madame is not hearing you. Also, from the point of view of Madame too, it doesn't matter what Madame says. Organo, they hear. Because everybody is, the mood is high. There's tension. So in sales, we calm this tension down. Somebody says 75, how? I saw this thing for 65 online. He said, my brother, I understand though, in this economy, even myself, I watch my spending. I understand. Then you now ask questions. Now, when I have offered this approach to the last person that I offered this approach to, the funny thing was he said that when he tried this approach, the person now entered immediately into school fees. Funny enough, that is what also happened to me. The first time I tried it, the person was like, my dear, you don't understand. I just paid the school fees recently. I said, even myself, that mean my children are in school here in Abuja. I said, at least your own is Abuja, you're paying in Naira. Now my children are abroad. I had to pay for my three daughters. So and so university. This is this university. I had to pay in pounds. And then we started talking. You can see how when you calm the mood down, you know, and you will are talking, you will be learning some kind of information. Now, when the person said this kind of thing, that guy has paid for school fees, three daughters, and he's paying in pounds, and it was one of my clients for the sale of their solar and inverter systems. I just did some quick mathematics in my head. Now, okay, this is supposed to be a 40 million solution, but this guy has clearly paid school fees, XYZ amount. I was able to now relativize the cost of the. By the way, I didn't close the deal anyway, but I was able to relativize the cost of the system by saying that, okay, sorry, one moment, someone is looking for my attention. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Like I said, I'm making today's recording at home, and one of the kids needed my attention for something. Where was I? Okay, so I was talking about how you agree with people. You don't say, yes, I'm overpriced. So you can say, like in this case, you say, my brother, I understand. This economy is harsh. So me too, if I can see a way to save 10 million, I actually would. Then you now move into the second part, which is you ask questions. Because remember, we are trying to gather more information. We're trying to figure out what the problem is. And that is where we'll get ideas about how to address it. Even if you want to educate somebody to argue value like King David did, this, and by the way, King David, not his real name, this is where you will get the information that you need, the ammunition that you need to argue value. So, you say, that's about where you now say, my brother, you say 65 million, Abi? Person says, yes. You say, the same whole truck, Abi? This same model that I'm talking about? The person will say, yes. Of course, the person will say yes now, because the person is trying to say, look, it's the same, so what's the big deal? 65 million, 75 million. I found it for 65. Where you come down to 65, let me buy from you. So, of course, the person will try and minimize the difference and say, yes, it's the same thing. Now, this is the point where you say, especially in Nigeria, most people will not expect you to say this. You say, Kai, my brother, to be honest, that 65M is good value. It's very, very good value. You'll be saving 10 million. You now tell the other person that, see, me self, if I see that kind of deal, I will buy it straight. And then the question you now ask is, how come you're not taking up the offer? Then you keep quiet and then you hear. That's where you now start hearing all the comma and all the K leg. That's where you start. Sorry about the noise out there. My neighbor is. Anyway, it's a weekend. Everybody's home. So that's my neighbor shouting in the background. So that's where you now start hearing the K leg. Because people come do this all the time. You say your own product is 5 million, they'll say, but I saw 3 million online. You agree, and that 3 million seems like a good price. But, if you have confidence in the price, how come you haven't taken it? Ask the person and hear what it is that they have to say. If the person says, now, should be now online, nowadays people can put anything online. You say, exactly. And online, people can be saying anything. But you don't know what you meet when you go there. So, in fact, even show me that thing itself. Let's look at it. Let me even help you see whether this thing is genuine or not. You understand? You're asking questions, but you're keeping it conversational. And in this kind of situation, where somebody is telling you that you own is 75, I found it for 10 million less, it's a legitimate question to ask. Like, okay, cool. It's a good offer. And if it was legit, even me, I would take it. But I'm just curious. How come you are not taking up this offer? You hear what they have to say. The other questions that you can ask. So for King David, who wants to argue value by educating the customer, this is where you start asking questions like, 65 million, Abi? Okay. Whole truck, Abi? Okay, no problem. Then you now ask the question, the one that you saw, is it Belgian used or is it Niger used? That's a legitimate question. Because when you're telling people the difference, remember, nobody's listening. But if you're asking and the person is engaging their brain, they will now start realizing that, oh, there's a difference. Now, if it's Belgian used, that means that the thing has been used, soft touch, softly, as in they haven't killed it. But if it is Niger used, you know that they have used the hell out of that thing. You know how Niger is now. You know how our roads are, the temperature, the roads, everything. Eh. So when you ask it like that, 65 million Abi, yes. Whole Sino truck Abi, yes. Okay. Is it Belgian use or is it Niger use? The person will now start thinking. Some people who have not even thought that there's a difference, it is now that they will now start thinking, is there a difference? What's the difference? Now you have permission to start educating them. We say, my brother, you know that Oyibo, you know how they be now. They use everything softly. They use it nice. So if you see something Belgian use, you know that the thing still has life inside. But Niger use, you know how Nigerians can be now. We don't even get maintenance culture. Go they drive them anyhow. We don't go service them, this and this and that and that and that and that. So my brother, there's a difference. Then you can take Belgian use, you will use itself 20 years. But if now Niger use, you know that if you buy it now, you know that that kind of like 5, 7 years, reach 10 years, you have to go and buy a new one again, you know. But because you asked the question, okay, is the same truck, Abby? Yes, the same truck. 65 million. I saw it myself with my own two eyes. The same whole truck, Abby? Yes, now I'm telling you. Shebi, it was me now. It's my cousin that took me there. Okay, no problem, no problem. But what did your cousin say? Is it Belgian use or is it Niger use? You're asking questions. You're not going to get more information. Now, for King David, he was talking about warranty and guarantee and blah, 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 blah. So now, all those things, you now, instead of putting it as a quote that I am better because I give 5-year guarantee, you will ask, you say, is 65 million? I be, yes, 65 million. The same whole truck I be, I'm telling you now, it is my own mother, the mother that born me. She's the one that took me there and we saw the truck. I looked at the whole thing. Is it Belgian use or Niger use? What's the difference? You now explain. So, oh, okay. I don't know. Then you now ask another question. So that guy self, the one that Momsi took you to, how many warranty guy they give you? You guys say, which one be warranty? That is where you now have a chance to explain what warranty is, explain what guarantee is, and explain why you can stand confidently and say, look, this truck that I'm giving you, for the next 1 year you won't have issue. I'm giving you guarantee. That the reason why you can stand behind your truck is because you know that your own is Belgian used. So they haven't killed it. And since it came to you, you've done regular maintenance check and everything. So you can stand by the quality. So you're beating your chest that, look, Oga, take this truck, carry it to your construction site in Nasarawa. I'm telling you that for 1 year, you won't have issue. The only issue that you do is every 2 months, every 3 months, you change engine oil. That's all. Anything past engine oil, call me. I'll send my boys down to Nasarawa to go and look at it. Free of charge. I'll bear the cost. Just call me. So you can only have that warranty, guarantee, after sales service, blah, 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 if you ask it as a question and you engage the other person's brain. If you're telling them, if you're imposing on them, it will be a quarrel. The person will continue that, I say it is my mother, the one that gave birth to me. My blood mother, she's the one that carried me to that site, and I saw that thing for 65 million. What are you trying to tell me? Are you trying to say my mother is a liar? Yes, by the way, it happens like that. Because there was one guy that told me, also funny enough for my client as well who sells solar, the guy told me that, like, this is my brother. My brother, gone. He's the one that took me there and we saw it for so and so. And I said, well, okay, to be honest, that money that you've called, it's a good price. What we are quoting for you is 31. What your brother found for you is 20. I can't remember what it was anyway. So like the gap is huge. It sounds like a good deal. I say, you trust your brother, Abi? He say, of course now. I say, he's my brother. I say, okay. And so how come you don't take the offer? That's how the guy began to laugh. Then from there, from talking small, it turned out that that brother is not really his brother. It's just that they're from the same village. And long and short, from my own read of the situation, yes, they found something cheaper, but he doesn't really trust his brother. doesn't really trust his brother per se. You see? But I was only able to get to that because I pushed the conversation that, look, honestly, we're calling 30 something for you. These people are calling 20 something million for you. It's a sweet deal. You trust your brother, Obi? Of course, now he's my brother. Gone, gone, gone. He said it in Yoruba. I don't speak Yoruba. Something, 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 gone, gone, gone. At least I understand gone, 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 like, authentic. Like he's my authentic brother. It was a simple question. Okay, you trust your brother, then why not just take the offer now? Instead of this thing of I call you today, I call you tomorrow. If it's a sweet deal, like, how come you didn't take it now? The guy laughed, and then from there, conversation was continuing. And I figured out that, it's not really his brother. And he doesn't really trust the guy. Then, from there, I was able to hand back to the sales engineer. By the way, the deal didn't close. You don't close every single deal. I was able to hand it back to the sales engineer to now say, look, Orga engineer, these and these and these are the technical points where the guy needs to be educated upon, and these and these and these are the situations where he has questions. You see, but at least we're still in play. You ask these things as questions. So, back to this guy now. Questions. 65 million, Abi? Yes, 65 million. Is it the same whole truck? Same whole single truck? Yes, now. This is good value. In fact, I'll recommend that you take it. How come yourself you're not even taking it? That's one question. Is this in Belgium used or Niger used? That's one question. How many months warranty did the guy give you? That's another question. Then there are some questions that you can use to open up the buyer's mind so that you can start distinguishing. So like in this case, because they come in different what's it called, capacity, weight capacity. Some can carry, XYZ metric tons, XYZ metric tons. Now, I'm not in that space, so please allow me to just make up some stuff now. So, another kind of question that you ask now is the same single truck. Oh, yes. So, the one that you saw, the one that Momsy took you to, that man, is it 25 metric ton or is it 30 metric ton? There's some people who know the answer, but then there's some people who say, there are different classes. You say, Orga now, there are different classes now. The one that is 25 metric tons, you can only use it to carry sand and stone. But you can't use it to do quarry. If you use it to do quarry work, the thing will break down. But the one that is 30 metric ton, you can carry sand, you can carry stone, you can carry cement, you can carry wood, you can carry quarry, you can carry anything. Because it's 30 metric tons. So the truck bed is different. The shock absorber is different. The this, the that, the that. Those of you who sell these machines, you know how you say it. But if you want to educate somebody, putting it as a question, the one that you saw, is it 25 metric ton? Is it 30 metric ton? This question will engage the other person's brain, the customer's brain. The guy will now be able to see that, there are some things that I don't know. And the person will now be able to appreciate that, okay, this 65 million that I found, that I'm comparing it to this 75 million, maybe is not exactly the same thing. But you do that through questions. The questions will give you more information and will give you the opportunity to educate the other person and also to distinguish your offer from the other person's offer. So, if you're going to do like King David, you want to argue value, you don't argue by telling. You don't be telling somebody, you're telling and telling and telling. The more you are telling, the more the other person will also lock up. It will be a battle. You calm the temperature down. You ask some questions, do some small talk, you build some rapport, begin to ask them questions. As you ask them questions, you will be able to bring up new information and you'll be able to now educate somebody and justify why that 75 that you're giving is a good offer. Then, let's see, what next? What did I say again? Listen, agree. Okay, we've done listening and agree. We've asked some questions. Okay, now, counter proposal. So when you ask those questions now, you will now have all the information you use to now make a counter proposal. Now, there are some situations where the counter proposal is, bro, you be like, say, you suppose confirm one or two things. So that guy that Momsy took you to, I'm not saying that he's not a bad person, that he's not a good person. So yeah, can trust this person, but you guys to confirm one or two things from this person before you know whether this 65 million and this 75 million, whether they are one and the same, whether it's good or whether it's not good. So you and Momsy, you go back there, you suppose to ask one or two questions. Nigeria use, Belgium use. 25 metric ton, I'll be 30 metric ton. Then warranty and guarantee. Ask what the other person is saying. Yeah, I'll say no problem. Because, I mean, who's not going to say no problem when you're saying you should go back and do some more research? Then your counter proposal. So then that'll be your counter proposal. Like, oh, bro, like 65, 75 sounds like a good deal. You need to go back and ask some more questions, Abby. The guy will say yes. Okay, in that case, no problem. So how about we talk again Wednesday morning after you go see the guy? You see, that's a new. Sorry, my neighbor is shouting downstairs. You know what? I think maybe I should just be recording on days when when everybody has gone to work. All right. Where was I? Um, counter proposal. So in this case, that is your something your counter proposal. Well, it's not really a counter proposal per se, but you put a suggestion on the table. Now you know what? There's still a few things you need to go and ask questions on. So how about you go and ask questions and then let's talk again Wednesday morning. You see, you put something on the table. That is one. Now, another way of going about it is, let's say from the conversations you've had back and forth and the questions you've asked, it is now clear that your 75 million actually is good value, better than that 65 million. You can now say, okay, so now that we can see that my own price, my own 75 million is good value, you now try close. You now ask the person, is there anything else that is stopping you from buying today? And then you keep quiet. The reason why you ask that kind of question is because you want to see if there are any other significant issues. So that if there's any other issue, the person will talk and say it now. But if the person says, no other significant issues, from there, you can now actually start trying to close the deal. So, another way is you can say, okay, now that you can see my 75 million is a good value, the much more assertive way to handle this is the way I prefer to handle it. I like to be assertive and I like to drive the conversation because when I leave it to the other people, sometimes I don't like what it is that I hear. So I try to guide the conversation. So the kind of thing I would do is to say, okay, so now that we've been talking back and forth and you can see that this my 75 million actually is the best price. So bros, the next step is, if you're still interested, the next thing is to reserve this truck that we're looking at. All you have to do is just drop 30% deposit. Baby, that's all. Just drop 30% and we'll reserve this truck for you. So what that will amount to is you just have to transfer 22.8 million now. Then I'll now ask him a question. Should I send you the contract now so that you can review it over the weekend? You can see that I'm trying to direct the conversation. I'm trying to move it forward. That since we have spoken back and forth and it looks as if now this thing is good value, so how far? If you're interested, all you have to do is to drop 30% now. I've calculated it. 30% is 22.8 million. So before you do that, I'm sure you want to look at the contract. Should I send it to you now? Today is Friday. At least you use Saturday and Sunday. Excuse me. You use Saturday and Sunday, review the contract, so that by Monday morning we'll get going. Abi, how do you see it? How you feeling? By the time you ask like that, you know whether you're making progress or whether you are not making progress. Anyway, because this is a hypothetical, there are lots of ways that we can handle it, right? Which is the reason why when I work with you guys, I don't like talking hypothetical. I don't like to guess. Let us look at a real life case that you are facing right now. Then more they brainstorm. Let's see how we can unhook this thing. So how you can close the deal. So if you'd like to reach out to me, just like King David did, again, not his real name, then you can call, send me a text message or a WhatsApp message on 080 2140. Remember, yes, I sound expensive, but I'm reasonably priced. Also, I don't have a problem with giving free advice. So if you want to get free coaching out of me, it's not a problem, but I will answer only one question. But you will find that we might have to start delving deep into one or two issues to be able to advance the sale, to move the sale forward that you're trying to close, or to try and fix one or two business problems on your end. But at least I would have answered one question and you will know what the way forward might be for you. But I just wanted you guys to know today, if you are in this situation, like King David, again, not his real name, where somebody wants to be pricing you like groundnut. You call 75M, they're calling 65M. I just wanted to let you know that the way forward is not for you to start breathing down somebody's neck and start telling them, I am the greatest, I am the best, I have the warranty, this is direct from China, this is direct from Belgium, this is... No, you don't breathe down the person's neck. You don't. If you do that, you're in a mood of quarrel. And when people are quarreling, the mood is high. People won't hear anything. So if you're quarreling with madam and tension is high, you will not make progress. You wait. When things have calmed down and people are cool, and you and madam are sitting down, you can now talk reasonably. And then you will now make progress. Madam will now see that, oh, she didn't understand you well. Yourself, you will now see that you didn't understand madam well. And you say, my dear, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it like that. And then you now have peace. There's peace in the land. So that you can make progress, so people can be enjoying yourself. It's the same thing in business. If you say 65 million, somebody says 75 million, you begin to argue. There's quarrel, there's tension. Calm it down. Listen, empathize, agree, show that they're a reasonable person. Ask them one or two questions. From the questions, you'll be able to show them that they didn't quite reason everything. That maybe that 65 million they're looking at is not too pure like they think. Hopefully, you'll be able to show that yours is good value. And if yours is good value, what we're going to do is we'll try and close the deal again. So, okay, now that we have been talking like this and it looks like this 75 M is a good something. So, is there any other issue that is stopping you from buying today? If they say no, you direct the process. Okay, so bros, in that case, to reserve this thing, we just need 30% deposit. So if you can transfer 22.8, that's all. But of course, you go and look at the contract first, Abi. The guy will say, of course, now, who wants to pay something without looking at contract? Say, no problem. Follow me, okay? I have the contract. It's in my car. Let me give you physical copy now. Today is Friday. If you use Saturday and Sunday and look at it, Shebi is okay. I say, that's okay. So we can meet again Monday. So I know Monday I'm going to Ibadan. Okay, no problem. When are you coming back? I'm coming back Wednesday. Okay, good, fantastic. So I can come to your own office by Wednesday, like around that kind, 10 a.m. Is that okay? Yes, 10 a.m. Okay, good. So, okay, here's the contract. So we're agreeing that next week Wednesday, I'll come to your office to pick up the signed copy, Abby. He said, if I don't see any problem in it, yes, we'll pick up the signed copies. Okay, no problem, sir. So, bro, safe journey. So we go see now. That's how you do it. You secured an advancement. Here's the contract. When you come back from Ibadan or Shogbo, we'll meet in your office. When we meet in your office, my understanding is that I'm picking up signed copy. Of course, my implication, if I'm picking up signed copy, it means that the next thing is we're talking about when am I receiving 22.8 so I can reserve the truck. So, anyway, that's how you do it. I have to run off for another meeting, unfortunately. So, let's see. Anyway, I can't remember what the next question is supposed to be, but hopefully I'm going to keep it practical and tactical like today's episode. So if you're listening for the first time, please subscribe, because this is the only Nigerian podcast where you're going to talk about sales or marketing or things like that in this level of granular details. I'm not here to motivate you. I'm not here to say aspire to refire so that you can acquire what you desire and aim higher and refire. No, I'm not here to motivate you. I'm here to solve some problems. You're facing a concrete problem in your business. Let's solve this problem in your business. So if you want this level of attention, this level of detail, then just call, send me a text message or a WhatsApp message on 080-6466-2140. Even if you just want to reach out just to say, oh boy, I appreciate you, keep up the good job. Those kind of phone calls, I love it too. So yeah, you can just call me and say, oh boy, keep up the good work. So that's it, and that's all for today. I will catch you all some other time.